Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making this amazing chocolate cake. I got so many requests for it, so I decided why not share this simple recipe with you because I'm not a baker and if I can make it, so can you. So before going to the recipe, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos and share it with your friends. I'm going to bake the cake first, so I've taken 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 3/4 cup of sugar, 1½ teaspoon baking powder, 1½ teaspoon baking soda, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of coffee, and we'll add a cup of boiling water in it later, ½ cup oil, 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1 cup of milk. Over here I've taken an 8x3-inch cake mold. I only have one cake mold of the same size, so I've taken one, but if you have more than one, I think that is way better. I've taken some parchment paper and I'm going to cut it into a circle to line our cake mold. This is the way I line my cake molds. I feel this is the easiest way. However, it's hard to explain. I think it's better if you see it and get the idea of it. But at the end of the day, you just need a circle, cut it however you want. This way, I feel it is the best for me as I get a perfect circle every single time. And I'm even brushing the sides of our cake mold with some oil to prevent our cake from sticking. Now over to making the cake. I will mix the dry ingredients first. This is a 1 bowl cake, so I've taken some sugar and I'm going to sift in the flour, cocoa powder and the baking powder and baking soda. The reason we have to sift it is because especially cocoa powder is very lumpy, so we don't want those lumps in our batter and we want our cake mixture to become a bit more airy, so it is very important to sift your flour. I'm adding in some salt and I'm going to whisk it very well. I am a firm believer that whisking your dry ingredients is very important, so I do it for a good 1 minute. I think that it makes my cakes very even. In it, I'm adding the wet ingredients now, which are the eggs, oil, vanilla extract, and milk. After adding the wet ingredients, I'm going to give it a good mix until I do not see any more dry flour. As you can see, once it reaches to this stage where I cannot see any more flour, I will make my coffee mixture, which is basically 1 teaspoon of coffee with 1 cup of boiling water. My bowl was a bit small for this, so I transferred my coffee back into my measuring cup and then added it into my mixture. You have to do this in at least 2 to 3 stages. Do not pour the whole coffee mix at once because it is boiling water and this mixture has eggs. It would not be a good thing. So we're going to give it a good stir until our mixture is nice, silky and smooth. You'd be thinking that the batter is a bit runny for a cake mixture, but trust me, it'll be perfectly fine once it bakes. I baked it at 180°C for 50 minutes. However, if you have 2 cake molds, it's going to take around 30 to 35 minutes. You can check if your cake is done by inserting a toothpick in it. It'll come out almost clean. Because this is a fudgy cake, you will see some crumbs on it. Now over to the frosting. I have taken 150 grams of dark chocolate. You can take chocolate of your choice. I'm going to melt it for 30 seconds in the microwave and stir. Make sure when you're melting chocolate in the microwave, use a good glass bowl so the heat distributes evenly and your chocolate does not burn. And please do not put your chocolate mixture in for more than 30 seconds at one time. You can put the mixture in the microwave for 30 seconds, remove it, give it a good stir, then put it back for 30 more seconds until it is melted. While our chocolate is cooling down a bit, we can whip up some cream. I have taken 2 cups over here and I'm going to whip them just until soft peaks. Keep a close eye while you're whipping cream because you don't want to over whip your cream, otherwise it will turn into butter and you really don't want that. So at this stage, when it has reached soft peaks, I'm adding some Nutella. It is totally optional. You can add it if you want. If you don't want it, just skip it, and even the quantity depends solely upon you. And before adding the chocolate, just check it with your hand. It should not be too hot. It's okay if it's slightly warm, but it should not be hot. So I'm adding the chocolate over here, and we will whisk this mixture until stiff peaks. It will not take long, so just keep a close eye on it. Once the frosting reaches stiff peaks, that means it's done. We are not going to add anything else. I've not even added sugar because my whipping cream was already sweetened, but if yours isn't, please go ahead and add a bit of icing sugar according to your taste. I keep this frosting at room temperature for around 5 to 6 hours because I feel it intensifies the color. As you can see, after 5 to 6 hours, the frosting has become darker in color. And if it becomes more stiff and you want to loosen up your frosting, just add a tablespoon or 2 or even 4 tablespoons if you need it of whipping cream, and your consistency will become perfect. I ended up making 5 layers of cake, as you will see in the video, and I normally make 3. So this recipe is if you want to make 3 layers of cake. If you want to make 5 layers, please go ahead and double the recipe. I ended up adding more whipping cream inside, so my frosting was a bit lighter in color, which you will see in the video. Now for the last step, I am making ganache to decorate our cake and give it the dripping effect. For that, I've taken some chocolate and I've added boiling water in it and a pinch of coffee, and I let it sit for around 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I gave it a good stir, and because my chocolate was not fully melted, I put it in the microwave for just 10 to 15 seconds, and you can see our ganache is also ready. Now to remove your cake from the mold, simply run a knife along the sides of the cake mold. I run it around 2 to 3 times, and then you'll see your cake will easily slide off the cake mold. Now with this cake, I am going to make 5 layers. You can even do 2, you can even do 3, it is totally up to you. I'm using a cake leveler because I think it is so much more easier and precise to use a cake leveler, but you can even do this simply with a knife. I'm not a pro, so my knife skills with cakes are really bad, and that is why I use this cake leveler, even though it is almost broken, but it does the job and it does it really well. So as you can see, I've already made 4 layers, and this is my last 5th layer. Now onto assembling the cake. I have taken my first chocolate layer and I've taken my frosting, kept it in a piping bag just to make it easier for myself, and I'm going to start icing my cake. Again, don't judge my icing skills. I'm just trying to make it work and make it look as pretty and even as possible. Now for the second layer, I am going to add some caramel together with peanuts in the second layer. This is completely optional. You can go ahead and use the same frosting in all your layers, but I just wanted to add this caramel mixture. So I'm going to do it because I think it gives a very good taste to the cake. Now our second layer is done, and I'm going to repeat this process for the rest of the layers. So without me talking, you guys can just see me struggling and trying the best to ice this cake. Now at this point, we are supposed to do what is called a crumb coat, which is basically to put a thin layer of your frosting around your cake and then putting it in the refrigerator to chill, then taking it out and frosting your cake again. That makes a very clean finish of your cake. However, I am very lazy and I was happy with how my cake looked like. I was not trying to impress anyone, so I did not do the crumb coat. Now this is the ganache I had made earlier. It has thickened a bit. I've added it into a piping bag, and how I tested if it is the right consistency to drip on my cake is by doing a test on a plate first. If it doesn't drip down too quickly, then I go ahead with dripping my cake. If it drips down too quickly, then it means it's still hot and it needs to be a bit more thick. So just wait for a few more minutes until it becomes thicker, and then you can go ahead and drip your cakes. So from here on, I'm just decorating my cake with the leftover frosting using a star tip, but all these processes are completely optional. You really don't have to decorate the cake more. I was just doing it because I had leftover icing. After I finished decorating the cake, I let it chill in the fridge before I cut it. Ideally, you should let the cake set. However, if you ask me, I am very impatient and I never let it set basically. So this is me trying to cut the cake because the lighting was going down, and I know that by the next day the cake would have been half eaten. This cake is super fudgy, super soft, and so delicious. Do give this cake a try and send me your feedback on Instagram or in the comment section below. And if you do try it, please don't forget to send me your pictures. Until next video, Allah Hafiz everyone.